Hey everybody, Tyler Pettit here, Medicare in the Mitten, back with another video. This one's going to address Medicare Part D. So we've talked about Medicare Part A, we've talked about Part B. This time we're specifically addressing Medicare Part D. Now, they made this one easy for us because D stands for drugs, right? Easy to remember, hopefully becomes easy to understand. So it's going to be your prescription drug coverage. I think that's also an important piece that we got to throw in there, is that it's the prescription drug portion of Medicare. Now, unlike A and B, those are signed up for through Social Security, those are handled through the federal government. Part D is handled by the private insurance carrier. So you sign up for Part D. You don't go to Social Security to sign up for Part D. You don't get a governmental card that shows you have Part D. You actually get the card from a private insurance carrier. Now, that's either going to be in the form of a standalone prescription drug plan or a Medicare Advantage plan that includes your prescription drugs. So we're going to kind of dive into exactly what it's going to look like, whether that be a standalone prescription drug plan or a Medicare Advantage plan. We're going to talk quickly about the prescriptions itself. We're going to talk about Medicare Part D. We're going to talk about the potential of a late enrollment penalty and the best way to avoid that. And then we'll finish up talking about some more Michigan-specific type items. But for now, we're going to move into a little more informational on prescription Part D. I'm going to shrink down for you. So now that I've shrunken down into this smaller space, looks like an aquarium, we're going to talk about Medicare Part D a little more in depth, not like too in depth. Again, we're not getting into the weeds with all these discussions and all these videos. It's more so just fully trying to get you an understanding so you can walk away feeling dangerous in the subject, and not so much in that confusion, fearful, anything like that. So Medicare Part D. So again, as we've talked about, it is not run by the federal government. It is more so by the private insurance carriers. So what do we have here? They're in a form, as we discussed, of a standalone prescription drug plan. Now, when you sign up for Medicare, and whether that be through just having Part A for the time being, if you have Part A, you are eligible for a prescription drug plan. Now, keep in mind, I didn't say a Medicare Advantage prescription drug plan. You need both A and B for those. That's a whole separate video. Again, we're specifically talking about prescription drug plans as Part D is applied. Those standalone prescription drug plans, there are some that will be available to you in your zip code because it is going to be on a zip code basis. They're going to be offered at a $0 premium. There are going to be others that come with a premium. So it's going to be a matter of which one you end up with, and a lot of that is driven by what are the prescriptions that you're taking. Most Medicare Advantage plans do include prescription drug coverage. For those of you that receive VA benefit for your prescription drugs, maybe you have TRICARE VA benefit and that's how you get it filled up, you may only get an MA only plan, which is going to be different than the MAPD that is specifically having you include your prescription drugs. So you have your prescription drug plan. Again, A and B are your healthcare. Part D is your prescriptions, the ones you pick up from the store. It is going to have a separate deductible. It is going to have its own out-of-pocket maximum as far as prescription drugs are concerned. You are going to share the cost of these drugs with those plans. And again, it's going to be on a carrier-by-carrier basis. You are going to share those costs with the form of deductibles. You're also going to do so with copays, potentially co-insurance. It's going to just depend on the prescription drug. Each insurance carrier is going to have what they call a formulary. That formulary is going to be their list of covered drugs. It's going to be the ones that they include on their plans. It's gonna rate it based off of where they place it in their actuarial data. It's going to tell them where that drug belongs. And what I mean by that, it's going to tell you what tier it should be in. You have tier 1 to tier 4. Now, tier 1 is going to be, for the most part, generic style drugs. It's going to be your lowest costs. As we go up through tiers, the cost of the drug to you, the consumer, is going to increase in the form of your copay. It may even at that point in time have a co-insurance applied to it. And again, it's all going to be dependent on your plan, and the plan will lay out for you in a summary of benefits. It will show you what those costs are going to be. All these plans have an out-of-pocket cost. I mentioned that. It is $2,100 for the plan year of 2026. That is the most you would pay. Now, a very important piece of information here is where it says covered. It needs to be covered in order for the out-of-pocket maximum to apply. If a drug is not covered, meaning it's not included in the formulary, it's not going to apply to that 2100, and it could end up costing you big. Okay, one of the top mistakes I see people make is not reviewing their drug coverage on a year-over-year basis. Now, whether that is a standalone prescription plan or their Medicare Advantage plan that includes the prescription drug coverage, you need to review these things year over year. Now, I mentioned a late enrollment penalty. If a beneficiary, a Medicare beneficiary, does not enroll with Medicare Part D when they're initially eligible, that initial enrollment period, whether that is when you turn 65 or when you decide you are going to retire a few years down the road and you have had coverage through your job, through your profession that has been creditable coverage, so a group bigger than 20, so you've had that coverage, then you've delayed your enrollment. So again, when it says initially eligible, it's when you are initially eligible for Medicare, you're on your parts A and B. Okay, that premium penalty, what does that look like? Well, it is a lifetime penalty. I think that's an important thing to know. It is 1% of the national base beneficiary premium for every month you went without coverage. Okay, so it's going to be per month, 1% per month of whatever the national base beneficiary premium is. The average this year, the national base beneficiary premium in 2026 is $38.99. So that means you get hit with a 39-cent per month penalty per month penalty for every month you went without creditable coverage. An example, 12 months without creditable coverage. So you went a full calendar year where you did not have your Part D in place. You will have a $4.70 monthly penalty charged to you for the rest of your life. That's a lifetime penalty. Okay? Lifetime penalty. Remember, 1% for every month without coverage. Okay? So that is just an example of how this will work. Now we're going to head back to the big screen. So you heard me mention that from the small screen. It's so wildly important that you review this on a year-over-year basis. Make sure several things. Number one, are your prescriptions still covered on the formulary from that company? Whether it is Medicare Advantage prescription drug coverage or standalone prescription drug plan. Whatever one you've chosen, you need to make sure they continuously cover your prescriptions. Okay. It also may show you on a year-over-year basis when you do a review that they moved it from a one tier to another. Maybe it was a tier 3, now it's a tier 2, or maybe it was a tier 1, now it's tier 3. Again, you're going to see those things come into play with the different formularies. And again, it's by carrier basis. It's wildly important that you review year over year. Look into mail order options. Some companies are starting to prefer the mail order option. Now, if you take capsules, if you take liquid forms of drugs, that may not be the best thing because you don't want a box sitting out in the sun. Some people have some horror stories about that. But again, it's important that you understand that there are several different ways that you can have those drugs either delivered to you. You can check your pharmacies. When you do that annual review, make sure your pharmacy is still considered in network for the prescription drug plan that you've chosen. There are some big names that have been taken away as a preferred pharmacy or an in-network pharmacy for the different carriers. And again, you don't want to have to go get a surprise bill when you go to fill up for your January prescriptions. You've made your changes during the annual enrollment period, and then you walk in January, and the next thing you know, you get hit with a bill that you haven't been hit with before or that you weren't expecting. So again, it's important to review those things on a year-over-year basis for your prescription drugs. So as basic as I can make it for you, that is prescription drugs. That's your Medicare Part D. Now, there's more videos to come. Medicare Advantage versus Medigap. When are the annual enrollment periods? When should I enroll? More to come. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, comment,